Fountain of the Sun Community Choir. This is our 4th season together with me as director. I'm thrilled to share this show with you. It looks like we got pretty much a full house tonight, so I'm very, very excited for that. We have some beautiful music to share with you. Had a really fun day yesterday with 2 full shows, and we're hoping this will be the best yet. We got 2 songs coming up for you next that are a little bit slower, more contemplative ballad type songs. In 2015, I founded a company called Choir Unlimited Publishing. I've written choir songs for most of the choirs that I've worked with over my career, and I have many friends who've done the same. And so we banded together to have a way of sharing the music we've written with other choirs around the world. So about the first half of our program is going to be many living composers, including many local composers here in Arizona. First is going to be an arrangement of Sally Gardens by Arizona composer Nathan Richard. He's over teaching at Chaparral High School, which actually is where Miss Mary Wagner over the piano taught for many, many years as well.
No, actually, I taught at Saguaro, which
That's right, in the same district, in the same district. So Nathan Richards is a fabulously talented composer, got his master's in composition at Arizona State. He arranged this piece for orchestra and choir, and we commissioned him to write a version for piano and choir, and this is the first choir that has performed this version of the piece with piano. The next piece you'll hear is an arrangement of Danny Boy, old classic melody that I'm sure you know and love, written by your very own Topher Keene. I wrote this back in 2010 for a choir I was conducting in Maine, and the choir actually disbanded before we had the chance to perform this piece. So this choir is getting the first chance to perform this piece ever. So you're hearing not technically the world premiere because we did perform it yesterday, but one of the premieres of my arrangement of Danny Boy. These songs both speak of love and also of the loss of love. Sally Gardens is more of the hopeful, young, puppy dog love. If you're familiar with the movie Grease, Summer Lovin', it's the same kind of feel. Is you fall for somebody really quick, they fall for you, but you realize it's not forever. The little voice in the back of the head of the narrator tells him, don't get too invested, but he lets himself get too wrapped up in this quick relationship and ends up broken and full of tears. It's a meditation and a lesson on the idea that when you have that voice in the back of your head that says, be careful here, watch out, maybe you listen to that voice. Listen to your conscience when it tells you you're getting a little too invested in something that isn't going to last forever. Danny Boy comes at it from a different angle, the loss of a loved one, going away, coming back to home, and finding that the ones you left are not necessarily there when you return. The final verse of Danny Boy speaks of Danny returning back home to find the one he loved, his parent, his partner, his loved one, to find them in the grave. But that they are waiting for him in the beyond, and waiting for him when he comes back. So a message of comfort and love that even when you lose those you love, that they still will be waiting there for you, and that they can still live on in our hearts and in our memories. Both of these songs speak of that love and of that loss. I hope you enjoy the pairing. Sally Gardens by Nathan Richard, followed by Danny Boy by Topher Keene.
Down by the
thank you very much. That was really a wonderful experience. I told the chorus earlier that as a composer, when you write for an instrument or a small collection of instruments, it's relatively easy to either play the piece for yourself or to put together a small group to play it for you, or to use software. There's pretty good, artificial piano software, artificial trumpet software. There's not very good artificial voice software. So when you write for a group of singers, you really require dozens of people to believe in you enough to make your vision come to life, and that really means a lot to me, that they trusted me enough to let this happen, and that you trust enough as an audience to let us share this music with you. It's not music if there aren't people here in the seats, so thank you so much for being here so that we can share these experiences. It's a wonderful thing. I was just saying before, the vast majority of people who write music for choirs never get to hear their music performed. It's very unfortunate. So I feel very, very blessed. So thank you so much for sharing that. There are a few things I want to share with you about the power of choral singing and what we do. There's a Time magazine had an article on the Chorus America Choral Impact Survey. They do a mass survey of all the singers in America every couple of years. And it actually really shocked me because I'm in the choir world, so I see this all day long, but I didn't realize how popular it is. There's over 270,000 choirs in America, with 42.5 million singers in America, which is pretty impressive considering there's only like 350, 400 million Americans. 42 million is a pretty good ratio there. 1 out of 5 Americans either sing in a choir or live in their home with someone who sings in a choir. So you can tell, we got quite a few of those people in the room right here tonight. Now, the thing that I found very interesting was 270,000 choirs, 42 million singers. You do the math, that's about 150, somewhere around there, approximately average number of singers per choir. Not quite that many up there. So I thought, how can we get more people in a room together to use their voices so we can make a larger choir? And I thought, the concert, there's a lot of people in the room. Maybe they'd like to sing with us too. So you're going to get to join us in the choir right now. We're going to sing together. I know, you seem so enthused. Oh gosh, it's going to make us sing. It's the word. I know. See, yeah, I'm there. I'm in your head. It's okay. Trust me, it's going to be a lot of fun, and I promise that your neighbor will not make fun of you. Don't worry, because they're just as terrified that you're listening to them, so don't worry. We're going to do a little bit of singing together. I'm going to sing, then the choir is going to sing, and then you're going to sing along with them. So you'll get a chance to hear the song 1,000 times, and it's a song you've heard before, so don't worry. You'll catch on quick. There are some really amazing things that happen when you join people and you sing with them. There's some great things that happen when you sing on your own. When you sing on your own, it helps lower your heart rate, it helps reduce your cortisol, which is your primary stress hormone, it boosts up your dopamine and serotonin, which are those feel-good hormones. You get a nice boost to your endorphins, which is basically like getting high. So you're getting high off the singing, which is nice. You get a nice boost to your oxytocin, which is the cuddle hormone. That's what happens when you have childbirth or when you're on the honeymoon, So you're feeling some good bonding going on when you're singing too. And when you sing with others, not only does your breathing line up, obviously, because you're singing the song together, but your heartbeats start to line up and your brain waves start to sync up too. It's a real sense of building community. So we want you to become a part of our community and sing with us. You'll recognize the tune. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. Choir. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. Just make sure, we know a couple different versions of the song. Everyone's heard these old tunes 1,000 times. Make sure that middle one is the same as the one I'm singing. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, sing that for me. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine, let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. You know the rest of it? That's good. Let's all sing along. Gents, you're down here with me. This little light of mine, ladies, you're up here. This little light of mine. With the choir. 1, 2, here we go. And this little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. Very, very nice. That was beautiful, my friends. And you're welcome to add in harmonies if you know them. I'm not expecting you guys to know them, so don't worry about that. If they want to add in some extra pretty notes to make it happy, that's great for me. We're going to learn a couple things about using our bodies real quick. If you roll your shoulders back, you'll have a much larger rib cage. You get better breath. That'll make your sound a lot better. If you relax your neck a little bit, your voice is going to be a lot more free. If you tighten everything up and then you're all tense and you're really nervous, then you're going to start singing, this little light of mine, I'm going to let it shine. Not a very beautiful sound, so relax that neck and throat. If you give it your best try, at least then it's a good quality F. You know, if it's terrible, if you fail, if it's absolutely awful, if it sounds like stepping on a dead frog, you know, at least you gave it your best shot. That's the best we can hope for. I'm not expecting you to learn how to sing in 2 minutes when we sing together here, but if you try your best, you're at least helping out your neighbor and you're giving them permission to try. And then when they hear your broken voice, they can go, you know what, maybe I'm not so bad. And you might convince someone that they're actually good enough to try out for the choir. And I'll let you know, this also counts as auditions for the Fountain of the Sun Winter Chorus 2018. We could use a few more of you out there. So we're going to sing it one more time. This time, clap along if you feel the spirit moving you. And sing out nice and strong. Sit up tall, take a big old breath, and here we go. 1, 2, 3. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. One more time, start nice and quiet. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it louder. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it go. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. Beautiful, thank you so much. Let's give one round of applause to our beautiful Fountain of the Sun audience choir. Beautiful. We've got some more to do later on in the program, but we'll give you a little break for now to rest those pipes. We're moving into the second half of our originals set. 2 pieces coming up from living composers. First, an arrangement of How Great Thou Art, the classic hymn tune, along with the pairing of Holy, Holy, Holy. The second piece is an arrangement of I Was Glad, a nice spiritual tune, by Canadian composer Alice Dearden, who also wrote the Huron Carol that we sang this last winter concert. How Great Thou Art is written by a new composer that I'm working with named Michael Payan out of the East Coast. It's a really beautiful tune. You'll be familiar with the tune and likely the text as well. Both of these songs speak of the glory of God, the glory of creation, how beautiful and wonderful the universe is. And songs like that are always so near and dear to my heart because it's so easy in 2018 to get caught up in how terrible the world is and how awful things are going and how terrible. You listen to the news for 5 minutes, it seems like the whole world is going to hell in a handbasket. But you actually pause and look at the data, and the world has never been as great as it is right now. We are living in an unprecedented time of peace and prosperity compared to where things were for the history of mankind. There's amazing things happening. The UN set a goal from 2000 to 2015 to half poverty in the world. They accomplished it by 2013. Every single day, we bring over 200,000 people out of abject poverty. Every day, we connect 300,000 people around the world to the electric grid. The little device that's in your pocket or in your hand if you're really bored because the young conductor just won't stop talking and gets the music, that little device contains more information, more knowledge, more education, more connection than the pharaohs of Egypt, the kings of France, the greatest leaders in the history of the world could ever have had access to just 15 years ago. We live in an amazing world. And beyond technology, just the world itself is so gorgeous and beautiful. I grew up in Maine with 6 feet of snow every winter. In December, I can walk outside and go swimming in an outdoor pool. How great is this world? What an amazing, beautiful world. You go to the Grand Canyon, you look at a giraffe, you look at a rhinoceros, there's incredible things everywhere you go. And looking at the love in your children's eyes, looking at the love from a parent to a grandchild, looking at the love in my puppy's little face when I play with her when we get back home. There's so many beautiful, wonderful, amazing things. So don't forget when things go bad, when there's difficult times in your life, when there's difficult things in the news, in the media, in the politics, and all the different things that stress us out. There's still a lot of really beautiful, wonderful things in the world, and there's a lot of really beautiful, wonderful, amazing people doing incredible things to make the world a better place. So when you're worried, when you're feeling down, just remember how great thou art. Hope you enjoy.
I see
a solo at the concert because they absolutely love me and want to hear my beautiful voice. Sure. So, in case you can't tell, lack of confidence is not exactly one of my faults. So, arrogant, self-centered, full of himself, things I hear a lot. Singing a solo in my own concert is not exactly a way to dispel that myth, but they ask me every time and they really want me to and I really love them, so I do it as a favor to them. I do enjoy singing and I'm excited to share this song with you. So I kid, but. And it also gives them a little break from singing to catch their breath, which is nice. So I don't get to catch my breath, but they get to catch theirs, so that's good. This next one is one of my absolute favorite tunes. I say it about every tune because I get to pick all the tunes, so they're all my favorite tunes. But this one in particular is very close to my heart. How Can I Keep Free Singing? A lot of people think it's actually a shaker hymn. It has a lot of similar structure to Simple Gifts and other shaker hymns like that. It's actually a mistake. It is a Baptist tune originally, but has been basically adopted by the Quakers because everyone just kept calling it a Quaker tune for so long. They said, okay, we'll take it, I guess. It's a beautiful, beautiful song. Again, in the similar vein to the last few songs we sang, the message is that with the world being so beautiful, with so many wonderful things happening, how can I keep from singing? How can I keep this song in my heart when I have such beautiful, wonderful people around me to share my song and share my love with? And at the same time, with all the difficult things in the world, with the struggles we have, with the loss we have, singing, music, art, poetry, these things can be a refuge in difficult times and the darkness in life. So the verses that I'll sing for you will start very uplifting and move into a relatively dark place, but leave with the message, how can I keep from singing? One of my absolute favorite tunes, I really hope you enjoy it. Me and Mary have collaborated here on creating this arrangement from just a traditional folk tune, so I hope you enjoy it. Everything on the piano is an original by Mary Wagner, so enjoy this. Thank you. My life flows on in endless song above earth's lamentation. I hear the real, though far-off hymn that hails a new creation. No storm can shake my inmost calm when to that rock I'm clinging. It sounds an echo in my soul. How can I keep from singing? What though the tempest round me rears? I know the truth it liveth. What though the darkness round me close? Songs in the night it giveth. No storm can shake my inmost calm when to that rock I'm clinging. Since love is Lord of heaven and earth, how can I keep from singing? When tyrants tremble, sick with fear, and hear their death knells ringing, when friends rejoice both far and near, how can I keep from singing? In prison cell or dungeon vile, our thoughts to them are winging, when friends by shame are undefiled. How can I keep from singing? next tune is the last of our originals from the composers in my network. This is an arrangement by Andrew Hurst, who's a local Phoenix composer. We went to college together back in the University of Maine about 10 years ago. Great guy, really fabulous contemporary Christian pop rock kind of musician. Plays for a lot of churches in the area and writes some really fantastic upbeat gospel stuff. You'll hear some really cool stuff going on at the piano, a lot of jazz improvisation that Mary gets to really take the lead on in this tune. We premiered this tune last spring. It's called It's Me, O Lord, Stand in the Need of Prayer. You might remember it from back then, and it does have some clapping along to do, so here's where the audience choir comes back in. It'll be pretty obvious because you'll see the entire choir put their hands above their heads and clap. That's when you're supposed to clap. It's pretty obvious, but to help you out, I'm going to turn around and also help you clap. So it'll be very obvious. That's called a cue in music, so when I turn around and cue you, that's your turn to clap. It's a really, really fun tune, very upbeat. We had so much fun with it last season. It was commissioned for the Fountain of the Sun Choir, so we got to do the world premiere last year. And it's actually been performed by several choirs all across the United States now as a result. So some Fountain of the Sun music making it big around the United States. Cool. Yeah. So we're going to go ahead and sing for you It's Me, O Lord by Andrew Hurst. I hope you enjoy. I do a solo. We also request that our accompanists do a solo for every concert as well. So Miss Mary Wagner is going to perform a beautiful Marquez arrangement that's really taken down the house the last couple times she's done it. I know you're going to enjoy it. It's been an absolute joy working with Mary. We lost our previous accompanist to a new job opportunity in a different state this last year. Sam Fleming was a really wonderful accompanist. We had a great great few seasons together, and it was a real loss because we had a great collaboration going. And in case you can't tell, I'm not exactly the most easy person to work with, personality-wise. Kind of demand a lot of energy. So when I sat with Mary, we interviewed several different potential pianists, and when I sat with Mary in the Starbucks the first time I met her, we instantly clicked. We stayed there for a few hours, talked about life and love and relationships and music and teaching, everything. And she can not only put up with my stuff, but she can keep up with it just at the same level. It's just amazing, very impressive, because I don't know what she does. I absolutely love this woman. She has spent many, many years teaching in the public schools as well, and directing and conducting choirs, and we have a great collaboration going. She's become quite a mentor in my life, and has given me some really wonderful insights from having watched my rehearsal techniques so intimately. So I've learned so much from her. It's been such a joy. I really hope you enjoy Mary's solo. This is Mark Hayes. Enjoy. Mr. Dale Koppelman on the flute for our next tune. This next set of 3 songs is a few songs that speak of the same theme of finding home and having to leave home to discover yourself, and feeling the need to return home, but finding that home you return to is not the same that it was when you left. We seek to find that home in locations, often in objects, in pictures, in physical objects, but home comes from that feeling in your heart. It comes from the connection with other people. It's never going to be quite the same when we come back. We can think of the feeling of rocking in our mother's arms, or grandma's cooking, or for me, the most vivid memory for me was when I returned back home to Maine a few years ago, and I went to I was like, oh, I'm going to go to my old elementary school. I'm going to go meet my old teachers, and it's been 20 years. Of course, I'm not teaching in the same schools anymore. When I go back to the school, I'm like, oh, all my teachers are going to be there. They're going to be in the same classroom. It's going to be so much fun. And the building was turned into apartments. But what was cool is they didn't tear it down, they just turned the classrooms into apartments. So I could go live in my 3rd grade classroom if I wanted to, which is kind of weird. But when you come back home, you find it's never quite the home that you left. That feeling you're looking for, you can't get that just from the physical place. You can't get that from the objects. You get that from the memories in your heart. And I've spoken to a lot of people who are entering into my mother is just retired, and she's now traveling the country in an RV. And she's having to get rid of all the objects she's accumulated over her long life and raising the kids. And every object is, oh, I remember when the kids used to play with it. And like, you're not going to need that toy. Your children are both in their 20s. You're fine. You can throw away the puzzles. But the memories feel attached to the objects. They're not. The memories are in your heart. And she knows that now, and she was able to let it all go and move on. And we all need that lesson sometimes. The first song is called Song of the Sea. It speaks of traveling out from the home that you know and trying to discover yourself out in the ocean, but finding that you don't quite feel at home there either, because you've left behind the ones you love. And while you needed that in order to discover who you were, you also need that security of being on land. The last line of the song is, there's no home for the sailor on the sea or the sand. But when you feel like you need to adventure and discover yourself, you never quite feel at home in the adventure, but you also don't feel at home back in that same safe place. There's a quote that always comes to me when we sing this song. A ship in harbor is safe, but that's not what ships are made for. You must go out and adventure, and you may not feel safe, you may not feel comfortable, but those places that feel uncomfortable, those places that stretch us, are often the places we need the most. The second song, Hills of Home, speaks of coming back to the old country, back in Ireland, Scotland, England, back to that old place where everyone, small town, everyone knows each other, you're raised by the whole village, and you got your whole family there for generations, and dreaming of that place and how beautiful it is, and realizing that it's always so beautiful in your mind, but maybe not quite the same when you get there in person. So you can hold on to that memory of home in your heart, and have that as a place you can go back to when you need comfort, but it's not always there the same when you come back. So remember in that time, I know a lot of us here in Arizona didn't end up here because we were here our whole lives. We ended up here on a journey from many places, often because of the snow. And realize that when you miss home, you've still got it with you. We have a lot of gifts now. You can call, you can video chat, you can still write letters, but you can reach out to those people you love. You can stay connected with them. And while you may feel nostalgic for those old places, they're always a little bit more beautiful in our minds than they ever really were in the real world. I hope you enjoy Song of the Sea, followed by Hills of Home.
On the days when I would
keep your lamps trimmed and burning. The text of this song comes from the Jesus parable of the bridegroom and the bridesmaids in waiting. Those who kept their lamps lit, trimmed, burning, kept the oil replaced, were very pleased when the bridegroom arrived. Those who did not were not so pleased with their fate. The song speaks of the need to prepare, to keep ready, because you never know when something is going to come into your life. In that story, it's something wonderful, something beautiful, something amazing coming into someone's life. You got to be ready and keep that lamp lit so that person can see them as they're coming by. But it could be something wonderful. It could be a new career opportunity. It could be a new romantic opportunity. It could be a new geographic living opportunity. If you're ready to go. You can take that opportunity when it comes. When my chance to move to Arizona came, the only reason I was able to take it, I took it on a 1-month notice. I was from Boston, packed everything I had in my car, drove over here to Arizona. And it's because I didn't own so much. I could fit everything in my car. I didn't have a bed that I had to worry about. I didn't have to rent a U-Haul. I didn't have to deal with all this other stuff. I didn't have a 3-year lease. I had a month-to-month lease. I had enough property to fit in the back of my car. Got in and went. I was ready when it came. And if I had to wait 6 more months, the job probably would have been waiting when I came here. So being ready, being prepared for those moments when they come is really important, but also not just when the good times come. Because we often trick ourselves into thinking, if we prepare enough, that we can be ready for all the bad times. That's not the lesson that the song teaches. It's not that if we're prepared enough, bad things won't happen. It's that if we're prepared enough, when bad things happen, when tragedy strikes, when we get that difficult diagnosis, when we lose a loved one, when a relationship breaks apart, when a home gets washed away in a flood, when something terrible happens, because it inevitably does, over the span of a lifetime, with the number of people in this room, I guarantee you tonight, there are at least 2 or 3, if not several dozen people dealing with a profound personal tragedy or a major tragedy in their lives, of their families and their loved ones. You can't be ready for those things, but what you can do is build up those relationships. You can build those connections. You can build that personal resilience so that when the tragedy happens, you're the one who's strong. You're the one who's there. There's a speaker I like a lot who says, a good life goal is to be the person who's strong enough at your father's funeral to comfort the rest of your family. And that's something I've tried to take into my heart, that it's not about being prepared so much that we never face tragedy and that we're not sad, but so that when tragedy strikes, we're ready to be a rock and a support for those who love us and rely on us, to keep our lamps trimmed and burning. I hope you enjoy Light her idea. I thought it was very effective. I hope you enjoyed it. Yeah, we've got an applause for Ms. Emma. She always has great ideas for us. She's the same one who brought us last during Easter Parade when we had full dancers in period costumes from Easter Parade. That was really, really fun. So I always like doing some new stuff there in the concert. And like I said, going out and trying new things, adventuring, going out to the sea, going out and finding yourself, it's really important to take those risks. Because you never find the most beautiful things in your life without stepping outside of your comfort zone and taking a risk. So trying new things like that in the concert is always a good idea, I think. Because even if it doesn't land, even if we start singing again together and the audience goes, oh, we have to sing again, I can't believe we have to do this. We just did it. I don't want to do it again. But for some in the audience, it's a really important thing. For some in the audience, you may not have sung since you were a small child. I've done a lot of these events where I've come to churches, community centers, my concerts, and had the audience perform with us. Once I did a church over in Phoenix, and I had a woman come up after we had sung and had the whole congregation singing along. She said, you know, this is the first time I've sung since elementary school. I said, oh, tell me about it. She said, well, I still remember sitting backstage in my little red dress about to go on for the Christmas concert. And as I was about to go on stage, my music teacher stopped me and said, honey, just mouth the words, don't. And I don't blame the teacher. I don't blame the teacher. Because so many of us say those things without thinking. You know, a parent, kids, screaming and singing along with their favorite Disney movie, let it go, let it go. Can you shut up? Just stop that racket. Oh my gosh, you can't carry a tune in a bucket. But we don't realize that sometimes it only takes that once. It's often just that single experience that sticks with you for the rest of your life. There's a researcher named Dr. Brene Brown who researches shame and vulnerability. She found in her studies that over half of people have had a single experience in their life, a single moment that redefined for the rest of their lives how they saw themselves as learners. And she found over half of those were in the arts. There's researchers that will go in and ask kindergartners. You go to a kindergarten class and say, how many of you are artists? How many of you are singers? How many of you are painters? They all raise their hand. Oh, I'm so excited. And you go to first grade and you see 80% of them raise their hand. You go to third grade and you're like, okay, it's about half. And you get to middle school and it's one or two of the weird drama kids in the back. But we do something through childhood. It happens to many, many of us, if not all of us, if not most of us, when we decide that we're not good enough to sing anymore. It's only the last 100 years or so that we've had any kind of recording technology and the ability to experience music without producing it ourselves. For the vast majority of human history, we had to sing. Daughters were taught piano because if you had a party, your daughter played the piano, so you had some music going on, because there wasn't a Victrola, there wasn't a record player, there wasn't a CD player. If you wanted music, you had to produce it at home. So I really think it's important that we as communities open ourselves up to singing. Even if it's just once a year in the choir concert that you come to and you reluctantly sing along because your sister, your wife, your whatever dragged you along, you're saying, oh, fine, I guess I'll do it once a year. Maybe some Christmas carols with the family. Maybe a lullaby for the grandchild. Maybe singing along with one of the patriotic songs or the national anthem when you go to a sports game or go to a Veterans Day ceremony. A little bit more singing in your life can make a real difference. And sometimes, someone in the audience really needs it. And you don't know if that person is next to you. You don't know where that person is. You don't know if they're going to come up afterwards and thank you. I've had several people in the last concerts come up to me and say, one of those songs was sung at my mother's funeral. Or, I just lost a child this last week. And singing with a room full of people really made it a little bit easier to deal with. Thank you. You never know when that happens. It's not every concert, it's not every event, but if you guys open up your voices and share them with us, I promise you, there's at least one person who needs to hear your voice tonight. There's probably more than one in here. So we're gonna sing one more song together before we close out. This one you'll recognize as well. Same pattern as last time. I sing, then they sing, then you sing. He's got the whole world in his hands. 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 We're going to use our choir posture, not our audience posture. Thank you very much. We're going to grow on those big long notes when we hit them. He's got, ready? And he's got the whole world in his hands. He's got the whole world in his
sing that last note, the warmest, the sweetest, the richest, the most beautiful. The last note is the most important note. The last song is the most important song in the concert, and you're going to see that nice and soon. The last thing that happens sticks in the brain so well. If you think back to graduation in school, if you think back to the last relationship you had that ended, if you think back to the last time you quit a job or got fired, that last moment sticks a lot more powerfully than the several moments before, right? The last moment is the most powerful moment, so we've got to sing right through to the end of that phrase. When you're doing a concert, when you're doing an event, when you're doing your job, when you're working with your family, when you're doing anything in your life, you've got to commit and see it through to the very end. Imagine that you're young and you fall in love. And you're on this whirlwind romance. And you go to Disneyland, and you go to the top of the Eiffel Tower, and you look at the moon, and you're eating the pizza, and the cheese is dripping between your mouths, just like Lady and the Tramp, and you meet each other's parents, and you're sitting, and you go to the preacher, and you write down all the wonderful things about each other and how much you love each other, and you know that the ring's coming, and you spend all the time shopping for the ring. You find the perfect ring, the absolutely perfect ring. You find the perfect church. You find everything perfect, and she's just waiting every day for you to ask, please, is today going to be the day? And you wake up one day, and she smells the coffee brewing. She comes over to the bathroom and starts brushing her teeth. And you're sitting on the toilet with the door open, and you say, hey, babe, you want to get married? The ending matters. The ending matters. The very end. Doesn't matter how good it is leading up. You sing beautifully for me, and you get the whole world in his hand. Sing to the last note. The whole world in his hands. Sing it with us. Ready? Here we go. He's got the whole world in his hands. He's got the whole world. Yeah, make that note grow. In his hands, he's got the whole world. In his hands, he's got the whole world in his hands. Thank you. Sing through that last note every time. Make eye contact with your favorite choir member and sing to them. He's got the whole world in his hands. 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 Thank you. Sopranos, you're with my friends over here. We're going to change the very end to make some nice, beautiful harmony. Instead of the whole world in his hands, you have the easy part. Just stick on that top note. He's got the whole world in his hands. Sopranos, sing that with me. He's got the whole world in his hands. Sing that with me. He's got the whole world in his hands. Thank you very much. And you guys sing for me the same thing you already know. He's got the whole world in his hands. Again. He's got the whole world in his hands. With them. He's got the whole world in his hands. Thank you very much. Altos, you're with my friends over here. You have the most complicated part, but it's not that complicated. Don't worry. You just don't go as far down as they do. He's got the whole world in his hands. He's got the whole world in his hands. For my lady friends. He's got the whole world in his hands. Altos, will you sing that for me once? He's got the whole world in his hands. He's got the whole world in his hands. Thank you. With my friends on the melody. He's got the whole world in his hands. With my friends on the end. He's got the whole world in his hands. Sing the whole thing for me. Here we go. And he's got the whole world in his hands. 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 One more time. He's got the whole world in his hands. He's got the whole world in his hands. He's
welcome to drop in for just one if you want to see. No big commitment. Just come by, see if you can handle it. But we'd love to have you. We would love to justify buying 4 or 5 more of these risers so we can fit you all up there with us. But thank you so much. There's one more thing you're going to sing with us before we finish out. Our last song is Battle Hymn of the Republic. It's a really powerful arrangement, traditionally done with very, very large choirs and full orchestra. But this choir has really stepped up and worked very hard to accomplish this. Over the last 4 seasons, we've built a lot of skills together, and they are ready for this sort of piece. They would not have been ready for it a few seasons ago, but it is a very ambitious piece. They have done it very, very well. I'm incredibly proud of the work they put into it. I think you're really going to enjoy it. This song is, every concert we do and every event we do a song in dedication of our veterans, our active duty servicemen and women, and past and present servicemen and women. It always feels appropriate at a Veterans Day ceremony and an Independence Day concert. Even our winter concerts often fall on Pearl Harbor Day. But I find it necessary to do nearly every event that I put on because being a musician doesn't make a lot of sense. In our world where people are having to fly overseas and be shot at and have bombs explode in their face and watch horrible atrocities committed against people, children, I get to sing and wave my hands all day. And hundreds of people show up and pay money to listen to a bunch of us get up here and sing, and they don't get paid. They just do it for fun. And that's really beautiful. It's amazing. We talked earlier about how wonderful and amazing the world is, and this is one of those amazing things. But I went through a little existential crisis a few years ago going, how can this mean anything in a world where we're facing such poverty, such famine, war, all these horrible things? My grandfather was in the Navy. My brother is active duty Army. I've spoken to a lot of military servicemen, particularly here at Fountain of the Sun, every time we do our Veterans Day ceremony. And what they tell me is that these sort of events, dancing, acting, singing, these are the reason they're over there fighting, so that we have the freedom to not worry about someone coming up behind us and killing us in the middle of the night, or our house blowing up while we're trying to take care of our children. That we can go out and enjoy a night of singing and dancing and moving and connecting with the community without that fear in the back of our heads. So I feel that not only is this a thing that I love to do, that's, when I was younger it was just, oh, you sing and singing is so much fun, and that's great. It is a moral responsibility. Because if we don't do these sorts of things, then those fights aren't worth it. If we let the horrible things that happen change the way we live our lives and make us live in fear and not show up, it's not honoring the people who are fighting and dying for us. So this song is dedicated in their honor. There's a quote that always comes to mind when we sing the songs for the veterans. John Adams said, "I must study war and politics so that my sons may study math and philosophy, so that their sons may study poetry and art and music." We will have the flag behind the curtain there revealed at the climax of the song. You'll join us on the final chorus of Glory, Glory, Hallelujah. Let's hear that once just so you remember if you haven't heard it in a little while. Glory, glory, hallelujah. Glory, glory, hallelujah. Glory, glory, hallelujah. His truth is marching on. And remember, that last note matters, so make sure you sing it right through to the end. Sing out nice and strong. They've got a little amen that comes in right after that. You're welcome to stand if it feels appropriate to do so as we reach the end of that song. This is Battle Hymn of the Republic, and this has been the Fountain of the Sun Community Chorus, Spring 2018. As soon as the concert finishes, there is a cookie reception over at the sides there. We welcome you to join us. We will be filing out through the same aisles that we filed in through, so please leave the aisles clear at the end of the concert so the choir can leave. They do need to return to their green room in order to turn in all of their music, so please don't stop them. You can wave, you can smile, you can be friendly, but please don't stop them. They need to get back there and get all of their stuff, and then they will come right back out here and join you, I promise. They'll be back soon. Thank you very much. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you for sharing your voices, your time, your wallets, and thank you again for being here. I hope I'll see you again in December. We love you, and we couldn't do this without you, sincerely. You are as much a part of this concert as we are. Thank you so, so much. Battle to the Republic. Enjoy.